All right, let's dive into one of the most explosive, most polarizing debates in modern rock music. Greta Van Fleet's. Are they saviors, or are they just a ripoff? People have strong feelings about this.
And this is really the heart of it, isn't it? This is the one question that splits everybody right down the middle. There's almost no in-between when you're talking about this band. So let's unpack it. How did we even get here?
Okay, so picture this. It's 2017, and this song, Highway Tune, starts making the rounds. And for a hot second, people everywhere were genuinely convinced they'd stumbled upon some long-lost Led Zeppelin recording from 1969. I mean, you had the raw guitar, the booming drums, and of course, that voice. But nope, it wasn't some ghost from the past. It was these guys, three brothers, Josh, Jake, and Sam Kiska, and their friend Danny Wagner. A bunch of kids from a small town in Michigan, and almost overnight, they became the most debated band on the planet. So we have to start with the case against them. Let's just tackle the elephant in the room head on, right? To really get why the critics came down so hard, you have to understand that we're not just talking about a minor influence here. And that's really the key point for the critics. They argue that the entire sound, the look, the whole feel of Greta Van Fleet is literally built on the foundation that Led Zeppelin laid down decades ago. For them, it goes way beyond homage into straight-up impersonation.
And look, the parallels are incredibly specific. I mean, Josh Kiska's voice is a near-perfect tonal match for Robert Plant's legendary wail. Jake Kiska's guitar has that signature Jimmy Page bluesy crunch. And even the whole vibe, the mystical lyrics, the flared pants, it feels like a direct love letter to that classic rock aesthetic.
This overwhelming similarity, it led to some of the most brutal reviews you will ever see. This number right here, 1.6 out of 10. That's the score the hugely influential music site Pitchfork gave the band's debut album. Ouch. And they did not hold back with their words either. They called the band a costume party and flat out the biggest joke in rock and roll. So for a lot of the critical establishment, Greta Van Fleet wasn't just unoriginal, they were basically a parody act. But that's only one side of the coin, because while all the critics were sharpening their pens, the actual public was telling a very, very different story.
Yeah, the audience's verdict was loud and clear. Greta Van Fleet started selling out shows everywhere. It started with clubs, then it grew to theaters, and before you knew it, they were selling out entire arenas all over the world. It was like the critical backlash had absolutely zero effect.
And what's so fascinating is who was actually listening. It wasn't just the old-school classic rock fans. A huge part of their audience was and is Gen Z and millennials. You know, the same demographic the music industry thought had completely abandoned rock music. Greta Van Fleet was somehow making it cool again for a whole new generation. So how'd they do it? Well, their fans will tell you they filled a massive void. In an age of hyper-polished electronic pop, they brought back something raw and analog. They revived the over-the-top spectacle, the 10-minute guitar solos, and that whole Golden God swagger that had been missing from the main stage for decades. So from the fans' perspective, this isn't about copying at all. It's about lineage. The argument goes that rock and roll's great family tree had this one branch that just went dormant, and Greta Van Fleet came along, picked it up, and kept it growing. So in their eyes, they aren't thieves, they're torchbearers. So there you have it, two completely opposite takes. Are they ripoffs or are they saviors? Well, as the band has gone on, the picture has actually become a little more complex. If you actually look at their musical journey, you can see a real evolution. Their first album was pretty much pure blues rock, very much in that Zeppelin world. But by their second album, The Battle at Garden's Gate, they were pulling from different places, more complex, cinematic prog rock bands like Rush and Yes. They were actively trying to expand their sound. And then you get maybe the most interesting twist in this whole story, and it comes from the man himself, Robert Plant. Instead of being angry, he's been kind of playfully cool about it. He joked that Josh Kiska borrowed his voice from somebody I know very well, but then added, at least he's got a bit of style. That's not exactly a condemnation, is it? And that really shifts the whole debate. Maybe the old question, are they just a Led Zeppelin ripoff, is the wrong question. Maybe the new question, the more important one is, what is their true cultural impact?
And here's their undeniable achievement. In an era that is totally dominated by algorithms and hip-hop, Greta Van Fleet, whether you love them or hate them, made loud guitars and rock spectacle relevant again. They forced their way back into the mainstream conversation.
Which leaves us with a much deeper question. The career of Greta Van Fleet kind of challenges all of us to think about what we truly value in music. Is it pure 100% originality above all else? Or is it the power of a performance to move you, even if it feels a little bit familiar? The answer, just like the band itself, is anything but simple.